Jaya Rinde, Jaya Rinde, Jaya Rinde, Jaya Shri Rinde.
Just like desire trees, they fill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodhana Dana Brajadana Ranjana. Yashodhana Dana Brajadana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Stotara Pravikacharya. His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anatakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Shri Ganga Mai Ki Jai Shri Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading again from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Spotless Purana, Canto 10, Chapter 51, The Deliverance of King Muchukunda. And we're going to start on text 22 and go through to text 26, because 23 through 26 is one long and wonderful description of the glorious beauty of Lord Sri Krishna. So this is text 22 first. Yavane bhashma sannite. Yavane bhasma sannite. Bhagavan Sattvatar Shabha. Bhagavan Sattvatar Sabha. Atmanam Darshayamasa. Atmanam Darshayamasa. Muchakundaya Dhimate. Yavana Bhasma Sannite. Bhagavan Sattvatar Sabha. Atmanam Darsayamasa. Muchukundaya Dhimate. Yavane Bhasma Sannite. Excuse me. Bhagavan Sattvatar Sabha. Atmanam Darsayamasa. Muchukundaya Dhimate. Yavane Bhasma Sannite. Bhagavan Sattvadarshanaha. Atmanam Darshayamasa. Muchukundaya Dhimate. Yavane Bhasma Sannite. Bhagavan Sattvatar Sabha. Atmanam Darsayamnasa. Muchukundaya Dhimate. Yavane Bhasma Sannite. Savan Sattvatar Sabha. Atmanam Darsayamasa. Muchakundaya Dhimate. Yavane Bhasma Sannite. Bhagavan Sattvatar Sabha. Atmanam Darshayamasha Muchukundaya Dhimate Yavane. After the barbarian, Basmasat into ashes, Nite was turned, Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, Sattvata of the Sattvata clan, Rishabha, the greatest hero, Atmanam, himself, Darshayamasha, revealed, Muchukundaya, to Muchukunda, Dhimate, the intelligent. Translation. After the Yavana was burnt to ashes, the Supreme Lord, chief of the Sattvatas, revealed himself to the wise Mukunda. Please repeat. After the Yavana was burnt to ashes, the Supreme Lord, chief of the Sattvatas, revealed himself to the wise Muchukunda. There's no BBT purport, so Jiva Goswami and Sanatana Goswami remarked a little bit in their tika. I'm going to read that, and then we'll go on to the next text. So Jiva Goswami says, Muchukunda is described as wise because he was fixed in devotion to the Lord. And Sanatana Goswami says, the Supreme Lord, who is the best of the Yadus, Sattvatarshavaha, revealed himself. This shows his affection for his devotees. He revealed himself to Muchukunda, who was fixed in bhakti, Dhimate. Just as Yavana had seen the Lord as Narayan, to Muchukunda he showed a similar form, corresponding to the description given by Garga. And I'm just going to read through, it's actually quite long. The next, it's texts 23 through 26. Tamalokya ganashamnan, we can read together. Pitta koshe avashasham, Srivatsa vakshasham brajat, kastubena virajitam, chaturbujam rochamanam, Vaijayantya chamalaya, charu prasana vadanam, spuram makara kundalam, prekshaniyam rilokasya, sanuraga smitekshanam, avipya vayashamata, mrigendrodara vikramam, paryaprichan mahabudis, Tejasha Dashadarsita Sankita Sanakai Raja Durdarsamaivatesha. Translation. As he gazed at the Lord, King Muchukunda saw that he was dark blue like a cloud, had 4 arms, and wore a yellow silk garment. On his chest he bore the Srivatsa mark, and on his neck the brilliantly glowing Kastoba gem. Adorned with a Vaijayanti garland, the Lord displayed his handsome, peaceful face, which attracts the eyes of all mankind with its shark-shaped earrings and affectionately smiling glance. The beauty of his youthful form was unexcelled, and he moved with the nobility of an angry lion. The highly intelligent king was overwhelmed by the Lord's effulgence, which showed him to be invincible. Expressing his uncertainty, Muchukunda hesitantly questioned Lord Krishna as follows. And this is a purport by the servants of Srila Prabhupada. It is significant that text 24 states, Chaturbujam Rochamanam. The Lord was seen in the beauty of his 4-armed form. Throughout this great work, we find Lord Krishna manifesting his various transcendental forms, most prominently the 2-armed form of Krishna and the 4-armed form of Narayan or Vishnu. Thus, there is no doubt that Krishna and Vishnu are non-different, or that Krishna is the original form of the Lord. These things are sometimes misunderstood, but the great acharyas, expert in spiritual science, have clarified the matter for us. God in his original form is not merely the creator, maintainer, and destroyer, or the punisher of conditioned souls, but rather the infinitely beautiful Godhead, enjoying in his own right in his own abode. This is the form of Krishna, the same Krishna who expands himself into Vishnu forms for the maintenance of our bubbling world. Srila Jiva Goswami mentions that the word Sankitaha, having some doubt, indicates that Muchukunda was thinking, is this indeed the Supreme Lord? He expresses himself frankly in the following verses. Om Jnanatinamandasya Gnanjana Jalakaya Chakshurun Menitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gunave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Buddhare Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Sunivadi Paschata Deshatanine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Buddhare Srimati Krishna Das Goswami Nityanamine Namo Hamsa Nikashaya Prabhupada Priyate Sudrida Sudi Nisyam Ram Tashavaki Nivadine. There's a couple of very long purports from the acharyas on this last verse, or verses, that I'll read, and then we'll just discuss a little bit about some of the salient points being mentioned here. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Muchukunda had a doubt. Sankita, is this the Supreme Lord? The Lord was incomparable, Durdarsham. Eva in this case is only an ornament. Eva is indeed. Jiva Goswami says, with his mind attracted to the great beauty of Krishna, Sukadeva again describes him in order to praise the good fortune of Muchukunda. His chest especially shone, virachitam, with the brilliant Kastuba gem. This shows that it was superior to other ornaments. In this previous description, Krishna wore a lotus garland extending to his feet, Vanamala. Now he was shining with a Vaijayanti garland made of flowers of 5 colors, according to the descriptions of Garga. Like the Lord himself, all his ornaments had infinite forms. He had new youth, Vayasham, which was most beautiful. Conquered by Krishna's powers, he slowly began to inquire because he was most intelligent. Others cannot fool me by wearing the Lord's dress. Others lack the power to overwhelm me. This is how he thought. His first thought in various ways, Sankitaha, in order to dispel his doubts. He began to inquire slowly because it was hard to question the Lord, Durdarsham. Eva is ornamental because he was highly intelligent. He asked thoroughly, Paryaprichan. By this it is understood he had great devotion, like Prahlad. Sanatana Goswami comments, the Lord's beauty is again described in 3 verses. That form was shown in a special way at all times, virajitam. It shone like 1,000,000 suns, rocha manam, or it is produced taste for the eyes and mind. He wore a garland of 5 differently colored flowers, or he shone with the garland. The lotus garland described by Garga manifested as the Vaijayanti garland. His face was happy with a smile and attractive charu from chin to forehead to be seen by all in the 3 worlds. Other unmentioned elements of beauty should also be understood. His glance was endowed with a smile because of love, or with a smile indicating his continual mercy. Or he had his eyes along with happiness expressed by the smile of his 2 red lips. His age of new youth was most beautiful. He had the prowess of a mad elephant. He had beauty in his most powerful arms, waist, and chest. Though Muchukunda was intelligent, he was overpowered by the Lord's power and became afraid. Eventually, he questioned the Lord with choked, confused voice. He was a powerful devotee. Why did he react in this way? The Lord could not be conquered by his prowess, Doordarsham, or he was effulgent with the brilliance of a million suns. The word Eva has no special meaning, or because of his power, he could not be questioned, Doordarsham. Muchukunda questioned the Lord because his intelligence was deep, Mahabuddhi. With questioning, he could not understand the truth. Thus, his bhakti would not arise, and all his births and actions would be useless. Most of all, he thought that he could relish the words of the Lord. There's quite a lot going on. There's a very unique, this is a very unique meeting with a great devotee and the Lord. And it's mentioned in the Krishna book, actually. And I just want to read that really quick. That's just one paragraph. And this is Prabhupada's unpacking of this. This is from Prabhupada himself. When Lord Krishna appeared before Muchukunda, the king saw him dressed in a yellow garment, his chest marked with the symbol of Srivatsa and the Kaustuba gem hanging around his neck. Krishna appeared before him with 4 hands as Vishnu Murti, with a garland called Vaijayanti hanging from his neck down to his knees. He looked lustrous, his face was beautifully smiling, and he wore nice jeweled earrings on his ears. Krishna appeared more beautiful than a human can conceive. Not only did he appear in this feature, but he glanced over Mukunda with great affection, attracting the king's mind. Although he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the oldest of all, he looked like a fresh young boy, and his movements were just like those of a free deer. Still, he appeared extremely powerful. His influence and vast power are so great that every human being should be afraid of him. When King Muchukunda saw Krishna's magnificent features, he wondered about his identity. So that's where we're at now, because King Muchukunda, he's a great devotee of the Lord. He's actually mentioned in the first canto even as being a great devotee of the Lord, and a sort of a list of the great devotees. And he did so much service for the demigods over at least 1 yuga, it's mentioned, maybe a yuga and a half, so many, 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 many years. And for that great service and being inexhaustible during that service, because if you're just going and going and going, especially in that service of defending the demigods against the asuras, the demons, I'm sure it was very tiring. So with this benediction to just take rest, I read elsewhere that he didn't really, when he found, he was going so many years in service that he paid no attention to his previous sort of attachments, his family, his children, his wife, his kingdom, like that. So at the end, when he was finally relieved of the service, he didn't have anything left. So he went to take rest, and with the understanding that sometime in the future, as Garga Muni had elucidated, he would see he would see this form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He would get to see Krishna. He would finally be able to see Krishna. So he was just there, sleeping in the cave, patiently waiting for that day. And of course, Krishna knew this since he's omnipotent, and he brought this demon before him in the cave to be burnt to ashes, so he didn't have to touch that whole situation. And now, as we've just heard, when Krishna was able to, Muchukunda rubbed the sleep out of his eyes, or rubbed the fire out of his eyes, and he was able to see Krishna. And Krishna happened to appear in this magnificent form, and it was the 4-armed form, which is kind of significant because you would think Muchukunda has no, he would automatically realize that it was Krishna because of this amazing form. But King Muchukunda, in his, abject humility, and being such a wonderful devotee of Krishna, he didn't want to presume. He he basically, he's seen a lot. If you can imagine someone that was acting on behalf of the demigods, who themselves have certain amounts of opulences and powers. He saw those demigods. He fought for them. Same thing with the demons. The demons, I'm sure, threw at everything in him. We can't even imagine what they threw at him to try to win. That's ruthless. That's like fighting. So King Muchukunda, he was waiting, but he was also cautious because he didn't want to take anything cheaply. That's a position of the devotee. He doesn't want to take anything cheaply. He doesn't want to presume. If you presume that Krishna is standing in front of you, just automatically, that could get into the sahajya sort of a mentality, because you think that Krishna is there for you, or you not there for you. He's always there for you, but just sort of, you feel like, oh wow, I'm getting this boon. I'm so special. I get to see Krishna, right? I mean, at least I would if Krishna appeared in front of me. It would be hard to believe. Obviously, with this description, he was overwhelmed by his effulgence. He had the four-armed form was there. All the accoutrements like the Kaustubha gem, the mark of Shrivat. So those things are unmistakable on Krishna, obviously. But notice he wasn't seen with his flute in this particular vision, which, kind of sets the mood apart a little bit. So there was some Aishwarya, there was some awe and reverence here that Krishna was displaying to King Muchukunda. And as the acharyas have said, is this the Supreme Lord? Is this actually the Supreme Lord? Wow, wow. It was just unbelievable, because imagine you sleeping in a cave for so long and you wake up and there's the Lord in front of you. That's extremely great, that's great mercy, that's astounding. So I'm sure King Muchukunda was astounded to see this form in front of him and to behold all of the beauty of Krishna. And right after this vision, King Muchukunda, actually the prayers are unpacked, I feel like, a little bit more in the Krishna book. They're stated here in the Bhagavatam, but the way Prabhupada actually, elucidates all of the prayers from King Muchukunda, it's very beautiful. It is very similar to what we've heard from Prahlad Maharaj and so many of the great devotees that King Muchukunda is being held against. I'm just thinking of how relatable or not this would be to us to actually, hope and pray that we see that vision of the Lord to benedict our lives. King Muchukunda kind of was finished with all of his material attachments by that time. He didn't have anything left. The great conqueror of time finished everything for him. And, we hear about these stories in the Bhagavatam. Another story that was coming to my mind was when King Revata was, I think his name was Revata, went to Revati was his daughter, but King Revata wanted to get his daughter married, and he was waiting for, was it Indra to tell him who to marry? Brahma, yeah, he was waiting for Lord Brahma, and there was sort of, a lot going on. There was, in the heavenly planets, there's always celebrations. There's always something going on. And King Revata and his daughter waited patiently outside for whatever performance was going on at the time. And by the time it was finished, Brahma, or whoever it was Brahma, he came out and said, well, now all of the people that maybe you were considering to marry your daughter, they're all gone. Everybody's gone, so much time has elapsed. Because time works differently in the heavenly planets than it does here on this planet or other planets, Time's very elusive in that way. And, so they had to give up their attachment to whoever they were considering to be Revati's daughter. And that's when it was suggested that, well, she waited that long. She was an exquisite personality herself. The king was very righteous, very pious. They were all devotees. And then she ended up getting the benediction of being able to marry Balaram. So that was, well worth the wait throughout that, measure of time. So in our own lives, I see a lot of times that everybody wants instant gratification. They want instant satisfaction. They want they want everything now. They want it all and they want it now. I feel like that. I think like that a lot in my mind, When something's not happening on the timeline I feel like should be happening, then I have to think, okay, why? This is Krishna's timeline. This isn't my timeline, Let it go. Don't be attached to the result. And because, that I want it all and I want it now, that's I hate to say demonic, but that's kind of, that's not really, that's excluding Krishna from the equation. So that's not really the right attitude or the right mindset that we should have. And, King Muchukunda, in his abundant patience, he did all this service over so many years. He's actually a descendant of Lord Brahmachandra, I was reading. He comes from the Surya Vamsa dynasty, so he's a great personality. And he jumped into service when he was asked and then waited until he was relieved, even though he was, probably after all that time just completely exhausted. But he just was dutiful and he kept doing everything anyway. And then he was rewarded with undisturbed sleep until the point that Krishna decided that he needed to wake up and see him, right? And brought Kaliyavan in front of him. So King Muchukunda had that abundant patience to wait, to just wait, to tolerate and wait. And, know for a fact that the Lord would appear, because that was, I didn't read where that was a direct benediction, but he had known that during a certain time frame on this planet, from Gargamuni, the predictions of Gargamuni, that Lord Krishna would be present and walking around. So he was hoping, probably. He was praying, he was waiting, he was patient, he was tolerant. He was like, okay, and so what do you do, when you're waiting for something and you're kind of busted out, you're exhausted, you're sort of, you don't really want to deal with the rest of the construct. Okay, you take rest. Sometimes that works, that works in the patience. And it, you regroup. And for him, he was greatly rewarded. And, this form of Krishna that appeared, this shows, if this form of Krishna appeared right here, right now, probably all of us would deduce that it was Krishna, overwhelming effulgence, Vaijayanti garland, he had a lotus garland on that turned into a Vaijayanti garland, This is Krishna. He can do all these things. He can change everything, he's Aptakama and he's Swarat. He knows he's doing everything. You can think it, it'll happen. And if that appeared here in front of us, I'm quite sure we would all deduce or assume that it was Krishna, but King Muchukunda and his great humility, that's a real devotee, his great humility, he didn't want to be cheated. There's a lot of cheating going on. There's a lot of cheating going on in the world. We see it all the time, Human beings particularly, I feel like, are very prone to, that's one of the four things. It's not only propensity to cheat, but it's propensity to be cheated, I would say. One of the four attributes of human beings, the four defects it's called. So, we're all prone to be cheated. We're all sort of, in this world, and we don't really know up from down, right from wrong, and we're trying to figure that out through Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. That's our wonderful boon in this life. Whoever's listening or sitting here or taking to Krishna consciousness, that's our boon, is we're able to discern the truth. We're learning about the truth. And King Muchukunda, he wanted to know the truth. He simply was a little bit like, is this for real? It's one of those things. Is this for real? Is this really, is this Krishna? Can this possibly be Krishna? Why would Krishna benedict me with why would he appear in front of me, right? Why would he appear in front of me? And he's not really thinking that he's worthy of that. He's just sort of, off in the corner, kind of, beat down, and, he's not really even any longer a king. His kingdom's finished. All of his subjects are finished, and now he knows who he is. He knows where, his father, he knows, he's a descendant of Ikshvaku, like that, but he's not really, and we'll read in the upcoming verses, before he's going to even question Krishna about who he is or ascertain who he is, he's going to announce, Muchukunda is going to, talk about himself a little bit. So he can humbly let Krishna know, okay, I'm going to let this person, I'm going to investigate on I'm so-and-so. And that's such a humble, it's astounding what a humble position that is, really. Just not overbearing. He's not thinking of who he is or who he was, or he's just simply trying to keep his humility intact, keep his wits about him, and figure out, the absolute truth. Find the absolute truth still, in a very humble way. And it's a wonderful message for us, because we can get overwhelmed, we can get bedazzled, enthralled by so many things in this world. But like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, this world's just a phantasmagoria, of all sorts of lights and sounds. It's phantasmagoria. It's not real. It's a temporary manifestation. And Krishna's creating all this, through his various managers, to show us that it's not real, and we need to come back to him as soon as possible. He's waiting for us. He's waiting for us to see him. He's waiting. We see him every day in his Archa Vigraha form, and even by that little glimpse, we know the beauty, the ever-increasing beauty of the Archa Vigraha of Sri Sri Radha Golokananda. Even through that little glimpse, and we can't understand how he increases each day in his beauty, and how each day keeps getting better and better and better in Krishna consciousness as long as we take to the process. We can't conceive of it. That can tell us that there's so much out there that we don't know, that we just have to keep trying to strive for. We have to keep working for. And by our humility and our service, and our sincerity and determination, we'll get to see Krishna. We'll get to see his glistening pearl-like toenails all the way up at some point in time. We just have to be very, very, very patient and very tolerant, like this King Muchukunda. He's temporary. Yeah, it's real, but temporary. It seems unreal because it's so crazy. That's all. It's right.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindanalayatasham Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobha
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalem Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koro More Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koro More Toma Bina Ke Dayalu Jagata Samsare Patita Pavana Hetu Tavavatara Mosama Patita Prabhu Napaibeara Doya koro sita pati advaita goshai. Tava kripa bale pai Chaitanya nitai. Haha swarup sanatana rupa raghunat. Patanjuga Shri Jiva Prabhu Lokanath. Jiva Prabhu Lokanath. Joya Goro Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas. Prabhu Srinivas. Ramachandra Sangamage Naruttamaras. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koro